Charles Darwin started to question this. You can get more information. It took over 100 years to get to the genome. This is a very good book here, The Autobiography of a Species, in 23 chapters, one for each chromosome. It took 100 years to find out that his grandfather was right. But how did this affect him? Charles Darwin was married to Emma, and this is actually my kind of woman, really, because she had a very strict view that diametrically opposed his. Now, I asked before, who am I to talk about Charles Darwin? Well, I find that speaking about this to people who have a different view helps me to have a more critical perspective on something. That has helped me a lot. I have what I call, some of my friends, I call them Christian consultants, because they help me kind of iron out the details. We have found that there's a great deal of common ground that's not well accepted, even today, 150 years later. Charles Darwin, 150 years ago, went up against a very entrenched establishment to even bring this subject up. I don't think we can really understand what it was like, but imagine living with Emma. She constantly told him that this was a battle you cannot win. You're in a battle with God. You cannot win it. And he said, they were very prolific journalists, so there's a lot of this is established in his journals, assuming his journals were written truthfully. And he felt that his ethics were towards his science. He had an ethical obligation to not suppress knowledge simply because it wasn't going to be accepted. And if he hadn't reported what he saw, somebody else would have done it, which is why he published the book. He had a very good friend in his priest. He was very good friends with his priest. And this questioning process strained that relationship to the point where his priest, well, they became estranged because his priest could not answer the question and gave up in frustration. His other friend, you can see one on each shoulder here, his other friend was Thomas Huxley, who was constantly battling with the church, and Charles Darwin was discovering the evidence that he needed to go after the church and show them, no, your rules, your dogma is wrong. So Charles Darwin is stuck in the middle. What did he believe? Well, he did believe that something started this process, and he was simply trying to explain how it happened from that point on. And an example I like to use is, if I were to tell you that I was going to give you $1 today, but I don't have it, but I'll give you twice as much every day until I get it. If it takes me 2 weeks to give you that money, I'd have to give you $15,000. If it took me a month, I'd have to give you over $2 billion, doubling it every day. If I doubled it every day. But that doesn't explain where I got the dollar. Where did I get the first dollar? The math still works, even if I don't have a dollar. The math still works. Under the theories that Charles Darwin devised, his explanations work, and he said the whole history of the world, although at a length quite incomprehensible by us, will hereafter be recognized as a mere fragment of time compared with the ages that have elapsed since the first creature was created. So he does admit that I'm not explaining where life came from. I'm just saying that this is how it happened since life was created. Charles Darwin was torn between two lovers. He was torn between the church, and he was torn between his friends, pushing him to publish his book. He could not report what he saw. He was a man in a strife of his own. And so who is Darwin? It depends on how you view his philosophies. Thank you.